14 events down, 7 to go in the ACC, which has never had an NCAA champion, is currently 1-2 with Virginia and North Carolina State, then Texas and Cal. The Bears got DQ'd in the 400 medley relay, or they'd be neck and neck with NC State for second. The question is, if you see things out, second, that's a good battle between the Wolfpack and the Longhorns. Can Texas catch NC State for second place tonight? It would be Texas's highest finish since they were the runner-up in 1994. Paige Madden will be front and center here in our first race tonight, the longest race of the meet, the mile. Already the champion in the 500 free and the 200 free, looking for her third win of the meet. And this one will feature a couple for the Wolverines, Sims and Schmidt. You saw Kristen Steggy of Tennessee transfer this year from East Carolina University. She was the SEC champ in a time that was just 2 seconds behind Paige Madden's ACC championship winning time. Lane 8 is at the top, lane 1 is at the bottom. And in the middle of the pool, lane 4, Paige Madden of Virginia.
Paige Madden, if she goes on to win this, it will be the only swimmer in the meet. She will be the only one to have won 3 events. You think, well, what about Maggie McNeil? Well, she was almost there with the 50 freestyle, finishing just behind Kate Douglas. Obviously, if you tuned in last night and you know swimming, she set the world on fire with that 100 butterfly, breaking the NCAA record, and first swimmer ever under 49. She'll swim the 100 free a little bit later on, round 3 against Kate Douglas. That's going to be an amazing, talking about compelling story, that's a great storyline.
Yeah, don't go anywhere for that one.
No, you do not want to miss the 100 freestyle.
You saw the time from one of the earlier heats. This is the 5th of these timed finals, and the time to beat 16:04.02 by Cameron Toney of Texas A&M, and just behind her by 9/100, 16:04.11 by Lola Mole of Northwestern.
Well, that most certainly will not hold up. Those are great, not necessarily preliminary times, earlier heat times, but all 8 of these swimmers, their personal bests are all under 16 minutes. In fact, the slowest is Peyton Pausch's 15:58, so surely expect that to go down.
Kristen Steggy of Tennessee with the early lead. Rowdy, you were a sprinter. I don't know how often you did anything like this, but I'm not sure I'd want to be in front at the very beginning.
66 lengths is it's a mountain, man, I'm telling you. I've swum it a couple of times and complaining the entire 66 length process too, but you know, everybody, we talked about the 400 IM being the toughest event. Some say the 1650 is the mile. But, you know, the very best milers, Rich, the ones I've talked to said they love it because they kind of settle in and get into a zone. If you're in shape. If you're out of shape, the mile can hurt more than anything, obviously. But if you're in shape, it's sort of like the 200s. I always used to talk to Michael Phelps a lot about what 200 hurt him the most, because he was world class in every stroke and every 200, and he always said the 200 backstroke, and that was surprising to me because I thought the 200 butterfly, but he says he gets into his tempo and rhythm with butterfly. So if you're a butterflyer, people think, well, the 200 butterfly is the worst event. Well, not necessarily. It depends on where you're at as far as training goes.
At the top of the screen in lane number 8, running 8th right now is Morgan Tankersley of Stanford. And Stanford, of course, is the 3-time defending team champion in this event. And they're not a factor this year, but you can expect them to be a factor in future years. They have so many swimmers out taking red shirts. Reagan Smith was expected to be here because the Olympics were postponed. She took another red shirt. And Taylor Ruck, the Canadian, out for a 2nd consecutive year because the Olympics were postponed. Names like Sam Pierce and Willie Nordman, a couple of other freshmen have taken red shirts. Lucy Nordman, who's an upperclassman, out with an injury. So Stanford is down some prominent swimmers, and we expect them to be more of a factor in this next year. No question about that. Coach Meehan has done an
an incredible job through the years in the recruiting process. One of the highlights, obviously, are Katie Ledecky and Simone Manuel. Speaking of Katie Ledecky, if you look at that record, oh my gosh, I don't know if there's one better than that. 15:03.31. It just, you have to have perspective, the greatness of Katie Ledecky, the greatest female swimmer in history. Her second 500, Rich, her second 500 in that mile was 4:33 flat. That would have won the 500 earlier in the meet. That would have won, her second 500 would have won the individual 500. She was 4:36, 4:33, and 4:34. And there is Coach Meehan right there, trying to move Morgan Tankersley along, but he was there for that 15:03, and she did it at, it was a major national meet, an invitational in Texas. She beat the women by 54 seconds. She beat the men by 15 seconds, that 15:03. It's just mind-boggling. The men's champion in 1976 was Tim Shaw. He went 15:06.
So Ledecky was 3 seconds faster than the men's champion back in 1976, and her best time of 15:03. That's 20 seconds faster than anybody else has ever swum it.
Actually, 22 seconds. And the swimmer behind her, Leah Smith, has the second fastest performer in history, 15:25. Rich, she was an Olympic silver medalist behind Katie. Brittany McLean, who's third on the list from Canada. She was also an Olympic medalist. I mean, it's not like there are some swimmers that are slow behind her, some incredible swimmers behind her. And again, it's perspective, no doubt about it. These are some great swimmers we have in the pool right now, but hats off to Katie Ledecky. She's got the 6 fastest times in history, and that's because she only swam it 6 times.
Yeah, you mentioned Leah Smith's name, and she had one of the great lines of all time, and this puts into perspective how good Ledecky is. She was so excited one race because she said, "Hey, I saw Katie's feet."
Leah Smith, a great champion in her own right. Look how close this is right here. Talk about close, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 swimmers right in the mix of things right now.
Of course, Rowdy, back in 2017 in the men's championships, there was a mile where 4 swimmers were all within 1.2 seconds of each other.
That's right. One of the great races.
Finish.
Yeah, Rich, I remember that in Atlanta. One of the great races in NCAA history. A lot of people say it is the greatest race in collegiate history because all 3 were under the record. And they went all the way down just like this for 66 lengths.
Kristen Steggy in lane 5. She is of that quintet right there. She's on top. Below her, Paige Madden of Virginia, Evie Pfeifer of Texas, Sierra Schmidt of Michigan, and Caitlin Sims of Michigan.
It's a great field here. You've got the top 3 from the SEC, top 2 from Big Ten. You've got the Pac-12 champ, Big 12 champ, obviously the ACC champ, and Paige Madden. So this field is just tremendous. These are the best right here. These are the best 8 swimmers in the country in college, no question about it. They are all 28 plus in the 29 flat.
Looks like approaching the 800-yard mark here.
It does look like Paige Madden is starting to move out a little bit. Check her split there, 28.8, but you know, Evie Pfeifer right there, 28.8 as well. A couple 29 flats with Schmidt and Sims, and 29.1 for Steggy. So, you know, they're all right there together. Nobody has really exploded out. I really kind of expect Paige Madden right now to kind of put some distance. If she's going to win this, I think she'll start doing it right about here.
They just passed the halfway point.
Right. Evie Pfeifer, 28.8 there. She's right underneath Paige Madden. She's right there in lane number 3. She's had a tremendous meet. Texas, they are right there to get a runner-up position. This is an incredibly important race for Carol Capitani, the great coach down there in Austin, and Texas, because they've got 3 divers in the top 16. Cynthia will talk about that a lot more later on, but they had 2 in the consoles. They just finished. And
and they'll have one in the top. So all of a sudden, North Carolina State on paper came in as a solid second, at least in swimming.
The platform diving coming up a little later. The Texas Longhorns, NCAA champions, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 1990, 91, but not since 91. And the last time they were runners-up was 1994. When you're looking for a runner-up finish as a team, as we'll crown a champion tonight, and the Virginia Cavaliers, looking to become the first ever ACC team to win the NCAA championship. And in the meantime, we've got some great battles coming up in some races. 200 back, 103.
What Todd DeSorbo has done at NC State is just incredible.
At Virginia.
Excuse me, Virginia. It's just incredible because if you think about what he's been able to provide, Rich, I mean, the great recruiting, but his kids are just doing marvelous. I mean, Kate Douglas is a sophomore. Alex Walsh is a freshman. Paige Madden is a senior, so they'll miss her, but they've got a lot of youngsters coming in as well. Great recruiting there.
And DeSorbo just in his 4th year.
Right.
Former associate head coach at NC State for the previous 6 years.
And, you know, pretty good understudy there for Braden Holloway, who, again, has a lot of young kids as well. Talked about Catherine Burkhoff. She's NC State. And there's Todd DeSorbo right there, Rich.
They're along with assistant Blair Bachman.
Yeah, the entire staff has just done a tremendous job.
Associate head coach Tyler Fenwick. Assistants Wes Colts, Andrew Schaaf, along with Blair Bachman. Head coach Todd DeSorbo. And you called it, Rowdy. Madden is starting to assert herself more.
20 links. Yep, 20 links to go. She's holding 28.1s now, Rich. And Pfeifer is the next closest there at 28.6. So the wedge has gotten bigger and bigger. And that's where she kind of needed to do it, from that 800 mark to the 1200 mark. That's great strategy. Kind of just go with the field the first bit, see how you're feeling, get into a nice little rhythm, tempo, and then take off from there. Use that speed that she had in the 200 to be able to apply it here in the mile, the speed she had in the 500.
Past the 1,200-yard mark now, and remarkably, Rowdy, this is the first time that Madden is swimming the mile at the NCAAs. Previously, the 2 and 5 free and the 200 back.
It's a pretty good strategy, right, to move to the mile if she wins this. Not that she didn't do well in the 200 back. She was 10th back in 2019, but 10th to 1st in that extra third event. A pretty sweet sound.
And it's looking like Paige Madden is going to be the only 3-time individual winner at this meet.
Now, again, let's check these splits because she just seems to be moving out further and further. 28.3 there, Pfeifer 28.7. So they're both really consistent on those 28 pluses. The problem for Pfeifer is she goes behind about 2 or 3 tenths every 50, and of course that adds up to what it's looking like now. But Pfeifer second in the 500, 5th in the 400 IM. She's had a tremendous meet for Texas. She's a senior, so she's going to go out with her head held high, no doubt about it. Coach Capitani will certainly miss her.
Yeah, from 12th in this event and 13th 2 years ago. And Pfeifer looking to be the runner-up here, Big 12 champ.
Paige Madden is just looking so smooth right now, 28.4. She's been, I don't know, 28.2 to 28.4 for the last 7 or 8 50s. Pfeifer moving up a little bit, 28.6. So not giving too much to her right here, but with less than 2 minutes left to go, she is, well, about 2 minutes left to go. She's really running out of real estate right now.
And she's moving up in another way as well. She seeded third in this one, and if she finishes second, well, she'll be outdoing her seeding as Texas tries to run down North Carolina State for second in the team battle.
Well, my chicken scratch math again. At the end, with diving, Texas beats NC State by about 8 points, 6 points. So
if everything held.
If everything held, right.
Which it's not going to here, apparently.
That's right. So she'll go from 16 to 17 points, and believe me, when you're talking about after over 300 points, 6 points, that counts.
Up at the top of your screen, Morgan Tankersley of Stanford. And Paige Madden is a lap ahead of her. Madden in the middle of the pool for the Virginia Cavaliers.
Just her stroke, her distance per stroke is just magical. Look at that length of stroke she has. She gets so much out of each and every stroke. Rides real high in the water, the body rides high, the head position is just perfect, right in line with the spine ridge. Nice little steady kick behind her. Not a big giant kick, but she's got that great kick. Look at the line. You know, talk about great posture, great line, great balance. Those are all the things that you look for a great freestyler. And she's got it with 50 yards left to go.
Just past 1,600 yards, Paige Madden of Virginia.
Hard not to give her the swimmer of the meet. She's got to go her best time, too.
The champion of the 500 free, champion of the 200 free. Her previous best time, 15:45.45, and she is a 3-time champion at the NCAA. Almost 4 seconds off her previous best time. Evie Pfeifer second, the race for third. Sierra Schmidt of Michigan has it, followed by Kristen Steggy of Tennessee. That was a coronation, Rowdy.
It sure was, and you're going to be seeing that face a lot, hopefully this summer, as we head to the Olympic trials in June. She's got a shot, no question about it. Don't count her out. So does Evie Pfeifer. 2 great swims.
So the ACC champion Paige Madden wins the NCAA title, and it is her 3rd victory of this meet. The only swimmer who will accomplish that. So Paige Madden wins it, followed by Evie Pfeifer, who outdoes her seed, gaining extra points for Texas, and then Sierra Schmidt of Michigan.